So you're considering taking a solo backpacking journey, or else maybe it's just crossed your mind. Really, you ask anybody that goes solo camping, I think they're going to first tell you that it's out of necessity. You get to a certain age where all of your friends, and yourself included, you get married, you have children, you buy stuff, you have a job, and all that backpacking you did as a young person now somehow gets kind of pushed to the side for a few years. But those that used to backpack with you may have given it up. Man, I really want to go this week. I got nobody to go. I'm going alone. That's usually how it starts.
You're afraid of all those weirdos in the woods. Are you?
Now, I think a solo backpacking journey is a little bit easier for someone that's a little bit introverted as opposed to extroverted. But if you're a spirited introvert like me, meaning when I get around people, man, I'm in your face, I'm up in there. When I'm alone, I kind of get into my own world. Introverts get their energy by being alone. Extroverts want to grab your energy, and it gives them energy. But regardless, it takes a little practice to get used to doing a solo. I think one of the first things on a solo is to be confident. Be confident in your skills, not cocky, but confident. I trust my skills, I know how to build a fire, I'm versed in first aid. The first thing you need to kind of assess before you go alone and go, how comfortable am I with my backwoods backpacking skills? Are you confident in this journey? And what you're going to learn to do as a solo backpacker is build your confidence little by little in being out there by yourself. Now, what I really like about a solo is it's just so much easier. Because I'm in show business, I can often go camping during the week. So I let other people know, hey, I want to go camping Tuesday through Friday. Well, you know, dude, I got to work, man. Some of us got to work, you know. Just the whole planning is easier, the driving up, the arriving at the trailhead, trying to figure out how to shuttle cars or get everybody's schedule involved. The more people you have on a trip, the more work it can be sometimes to get everybody's schedules together. Where are you going to meet? How are you going to go? You're going to go in one car and meet at somebody's house. So solo is easy in that respect. You can just set your own pace. You know, sometimes I get to the trailhead and I planned a trip where I feel like cranking out some miles. That's going to be my thing. So I get out there and I can go. But if I decide to change that plan in the middle and I've done my trip planning and looked and see where there's campsites, I can totally go, I can slow it down. I got to this one camp. I never knew how beautiful it was going to be. So I'm going to stop here because I don't know what my next camp's going to look like. I'm going to stop early. Early? And sometimes when you stop early on a trip, you got to figure out what are you going to do to fill that day. And that's what a lot of people wonder on a solo. Now, filling the day. I don't have a problem with that. What I really have learned in time was to, if I have time in camp, to just enjoy that time. Sometimes I just sit in my hammock sideways and just, man, I enjoy the nature, hearing the wind, watching birds, hearing fish jump, taking a little nap, sitting back up, just about being. Just being in the moment. And that's something I'm after in life. So maybe you can just practice slowing down, slow your breathing down, and just be there. Bring a book. Work on your fire building skills. You can do photography. Bring a camera. Camera's a great way to go around and just notice little things. You'll figure it out. If you don't want to get to camp early, then plan your walk so that you're going to take all day walking. And then when you get to camp, you've got a little less time before it gets dark, so that's a little less time to kill. You know, a solo is a great time to maybe face a few of your fears. A lot of people get nervous when it gets dark. You know me, I don't usually build a fire just because I'm lazy. I would just sort of sit there and I'd have my candle lantern going and just sit out at night in the dark, and I'd blow the candle lantern out and just sit in the dark. Now there might be a moon, it might be totally dark. What I got out of that was you'll just realize that there's nothing different happening at night than there is in the day. The wind is still blowing. It looks different. It feels different. You know, people are always going, aren't the animals out at night? Well, bears are out in the day and night. So just get used to being in the dark by sitting in the dark, and you realize it's the same stuff happening. It's just either light or dark. That really helped me a lot, just getting comfortable out there.
Ah, I can't smell a thing.
Going on a solo backpacking trip is a real test of your self-reliance. That's what feels great at the end. You go, man, I was out for 2 or 3 days by myself and I handled it. Be confident in your camping skills and your hiking skills. Are you in shape? Don't go if you're totally out of shape, and by that I mean you know you're out of shape. Get in a little better shape for it so you know you have the stamina to be out there. Decision making. You definitely have to have meetings with yourself and make better decisions and not be impulsive. I tend to be an impulsive guy. Backpacking solo has taught me to go, slow down, killer. Let's think this through. It might just be going down a treacherous hill, a trail. I got my hiking poles and I go, you know what? Nobody's looking. You're an old man. Walk down it like an old man. Be very careful. Check your footing. Because all it takes is a fall and hitting your head and concussing yourself. And, you know, you might knock yourself out and stand up and you got a concussion and you don't know where you are. I read a great book about that. It was two people that got lost in Minnesota. I think it's called Lost in the Wild. I'm going to find out what it is and link it below in the description box below this video. You should read it because it's two accounts of people getting lost in the woods and the decisions they made, right and wrong. And one guy was a canoe guide and he went out, they went ashore, he slipped on a rock looking for a way to kind of get his guide, his group through the woods, hit his head, concussed himself, didn't know where he was, and ended up just taking off through the woods rather than walking back to his canoer. So think ahead a little bit, plan, think things out. It's not being nervous, it's just think things through a little bit and make good decisions. Play it a little bit safe when you're by yourself. It's really important to leave a trip plan at home, which I covered in my last videos about trip planning. Write it on a piece of paper, put it on the wall somewhere in your apartment or your home, or let your wife or your husband or your kids or whoever it is, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, let them know where you are. Write it out, where you'll be, when you're leaving, when you plan to come home, so people know you're out in the woods. Carry a whistle. This is the storm whistle. That thing is, I barely blew. It's super loud. It doesn't have any little ball in it. Have that on you. Wear it around your neck on a chain or have it in your pocket, because if you do fall or slip, even out just hiking around from camp, you do the old traditional, I'm in trouble. 3 blasts. You can hear this thing. You got a chance of somebody, you know, finding you. On the other hand, I carry my InReach Explorer, which has an SOS tab on it. But what if you don't have that with you when you go, you know, you decide to walk down to the river or something, and you get hurt on the way? Maybe it's a half mile from camp. If you don't have that on you, it's doing you no good. So have that whistle, or carry that with you, and make sure it's in a pocket that won't fly out. I saw when my buddy Carolina Backpacker fell down the mountain in the Linville Gorge, all of his things that weren't really zipped in flew off his body. So you want to make sure that your safety device is attached to you, and don't feel like a hero out there. You know, bring it with you, because when you're out by yourself, it might be your saving grace. You know, another thing, if you're going to take your first solo and you got a trail that you've walked before and you're comfortable with it, take that trail. It's nice. It takes a little worry off of you. It makes it a little bit easier if you kind of know the terrain you're on. You sort of know what you're getting into. You probably know where the trailheads are, or if you can bail out. That's a smart thing to do. It just makes getting used to doing a solo a little easier if you've done that trail before. Now, in my experience, I've found the further back in the woods I am from trailheads, the more comfortable I am. And I'm talking about what a lot of people worry about are other human beings, okay? Maybe people that want to harm you. The closer you are to big trailheads or party places, you know, that's where people are going to be. You know, if I was an axe murderer, and I ain't, I'd probably be like any criminal. I don't want to work that hard to get out there. Sometimes backwoods trails, you got to watch these trailheads to make sure they're not party places, or someone has easy access to you. And I'm not going to go into self-defense or what you're going to do to protect yourself. It can be your wits. It can be a knife. It can be pepper spray. It can be you bring your pistol out there. You use your kung fu powers. Maybe you just put the evil eye on somebody. Whatever it is, think through it, be comfortable with it, and use it. Know your limits. Know the limits of your physical ability. Know the limits of your comfort backpacking. Know your limits. But you got to get used to just kind of visiting yourself, getting into your own thoughts or letting all those thoughts go, and enjoying nature more. nature is going to become way more alive to you. And embrace it, enjoy it, be there with it. One nice thing about a solo is you definitely end up seeing more wildlife. Because sometimes I'm kind of singing to myself or I'm filming, but a lot of times you're just grooving along and enjoying it, or your thoughts are up in your head and it's not a big group hiking through the woods and you're quiet, and you just see more things like fox and grouse and woodpeckers and birds and falcons and owls and not the big three necessarily, wolf, moose, and bear, but just deer and just more wildlife stuff you see. Sometimes you go, I don't even know what that was. I've seen a lynx before, see pine martens. You're just going to see more birds. You will just see more wildlife. So really enjoy that because it's a gift. Make sure that you're very brushed up on your navigation skills. Whether you use a GPS or a map, or you're on a trail like the Superior Hiking Trail, which is fairly well marked, still study up and know where you're going. Be confident with a compass or whatever it is you use, because you're out there by yourself, and if you feel like you're going the wrong way, you get that feeling in your gut, stop. This is another time for you to make a decision. Backtrack, figure out where you are before you go too far. There was a time up there on the Superior Hiking Trail, my pre-hammock days, and I thought, gosh, Shug, I'll never get lost. And I went back in the woods to get some firewood. And I was carrying the firewood back to camp, and I went, which way is camp? And I could not figure it out. So I learned in Scouts to do the wagon wheel method. And the wagon wheel is going, if you don't know where you are, what I did is I set this wood down, I took my hat off, put it on top of the wood, and you walk one direction. And you keep looking back to make sure you can see that hat that you hang up on a limb or put on something. And you go as far as you can while keeping that in sight and go, that doesn't seem right. Walk back to that, go another direction. So you just keep going a direction, but you keep that hat or that wood in sight. And you can even do it twice. Like you have something you can see there, you go as far as you can. Maybe you have something else, your bandana or something, hang that up on a limb and go again. But you don't lose track of those things behind you, so you can keep coming back to where that wood pile or where you first realize you're lost are. And on this one trip with the wood, I was totally wrong. I thought camp was that way. It was that way. Be smart out there. You got to get used to the solitude. Even if you're craving it, it's one of those things that you kind of have that. You're going to get a lot of it out there by yourself. Sleeping out in the woods by yourself, walking all day, all your time is with yourself, your meals are with yourself, everything is with yourself. So embrace that solitude. It's a great time to get to sort of figure out, a little bit about yourself. Solos are going to take you sometimes 3 or 4 times to really start going, hey man, I really like this. I can stop when I want. I can sleep in the morning if I want. I can wake up at the crack of dawn and hit the trail, and I don't have to sit around and wait for my campmates who are sleeping. If you're an older man and you're out hiking alone, be prepared for people to be a little nervous when they see you. I always pull off the trail first when I see people, and I hang my hands up on top of my hiking poles, and I just act like a big bear. And I just sort of say hey, and if they want to keep on walking by, cool. I don't say much to them. I just say, hey, great day, how you doing? And if people want to talk, then we talk. But every time that happens with a group going by, I start walking again. I turn around and look at them, and you can always see the person in the back. They're walking, but their head's turning around looking at me going, dude, I want to make sure that guy's going the other way than we are. That's it. Give it a try sometimes. Go online. You can search for solo backpacking. You'll find more information in people's blogs about it. But, woo, buddy, all secure in Sector 7. Boom!